Okay, imagine this. What if you could create a 3D model, right? But instead of clicking and dragging, you wrote it, like a recipe. That's what we're talking about today. It's a whole different way to think about design, and we're going to dive deep into the tool that makes it possible, OpenSCAD.
So here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with why you'd even want to design with code. Then we'll check out the OpenSCAD workspace, get our hands on the basic building blocks, and then we'll talk about its absolute superpower. After that, we'll see how to go from the screen to a real-life print. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at the incredible creative freedom you get. Let's do it.
All right, first up, designing with code. And yeah, the big question is, why? Why would you ever want to build 3D models with instructions? I mean, why trade in your mouse for a keyboard? Well, it's really all about a shift in how you think, moving away from just pushing things around on a screen to giving your computer exact, repeatable instructions. You know, here's a good way to think about it. Most 3D modeling feels like sculpting clay, right? It's very direct, very hands-on, but if you want to make that sculpture exactly 1 millimeter taller, good luck. It's tough to replicate. But designing with code, that's more like writing a recipe. Every instruction is precise. If you want a bigger cake, you don't have to start sculpting all over again. Nope, you just go back to your recipe and change 1 cup of flour to 2 cups. It's that simple. And this whole recipe thing has some amazing benefits. We're talking ultimate precision every single time. Modifications become, well, effortless. No more rebuilding from the ground up. Your results are perfectly repeatable. And you can just hand someone your code and they can make the exact same thing. And all of this leads to the real magic trick here, the power of parametrics. We'll get to that in a bit, trust me.
Okay, let's move on to the tool itself, the OpenSCAD workspace. The whole vibe here is simplicity. It's all about providing a focused, clean environment for you to create in.
And this is where you really see the difference. You know how most 3D apps have a million menus, toolbars, and palettes? It's just a lot. OpenSCAD throws all that out. Instead, you get this beautiful, clean 2-panel layout. That's it, a code editor and a 3D preview.
The whole idea is simple. Your code on the left, your creation on the right. You're in this constant direct feedback loop. You type a line of code, say cube 10, and bam, a cube pops up on the right. That instant feedback is what makes this whole thing feel so powerful and, honestly, pretty intuitive.
All right, so how do we actually build something? Let's get into the basic building blocks. It all starts with a few fundamental shapes and the actions you can take with them. Think of these as your starting shapes, your primitives. It's your digital clay. And what's amazing is that almost anything you can dream up can be built by just combining these 3 basic forms: a cube, a sphere, and a cylinder. That's it.
So you've got your shapes, now what? Well, you use 3 core operations to work with them. First, you can join them together into one single object. That's called a union. Second, you can carve one shape out of another. This is how you make holes or cutouts. That's called a difference. And third, you can move your shapes around with perfect precision. We call that translate. Union, difference, translate. With just those 3 tools, you can build pretty much anything.
Okay, now we get to the good stuff, the real game changer. This is the feature that changes everything and makes OpenSCAD so incredibly powerful. I'm talking about its parametric superpower. So, parametric design. What does that actually mean? Well, instead of just saying, make a box 50 millimeters long, you create a variable, like a nickname. You could call it box_length and then say box_length equals 50. Why does this matter? Because you're not just making a single static object anymore. You're creating a flexible, adaptable recipe for that object. This changes everything. Let's look at this example of a customizable box. See how we have parameters set up at the top? We have box length, box width, and wall thickness. Now, the magic is, if you want to change your design, you don't touch the model. You just change these numbers. Want a longer box? Just change box length to, say, 100. Thicker walls? Change wall thickness to 3. The whole model just updates instantly. And you can see why this is such a huge advantage for anyone who designs products in different sizes. I mean, think about it. Let's say you design the perfect phone case. Then a new phone comes out, and it's just a couple millimeters wider. With a traditional tool, you might have to start over. But here, you just tweak the width variable, and boom, new case ready to go. Okay, so you've designed your masterpiece. How do you get it from the screen into the real world? Let's talk about going from preview to print. So, OpenSCAD has 2 ways of showing you your model. While you're coding, you'll be hitting F5 all the time. That gives you a quick preview, kind of like a fast, rough draft so you can see what you're doing. But when you're done and you're ready to get serious, you hit F6. That's the full render. This is where the computer does all the heavy lifting and calculates the final, perfect, detailed model. This is what you need before you can export it for printing.
And once that full render is complete, you export it. The file you get is an STL file. This is the universal language of 3D printers. It's basically the set of instructions that tells your printer exactly how to build your design, layer by tiny layer.
So the whole path to a physical object is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, finalize your design in the code. Step 2, do that full render with F6. Step 3, export the model as an STL file. And step 4, you send that file to your 3D printer. That's it. A nice, clean process from your brain to your hands.
All right, let's zoom out. Let's talk about creating without limits, because that's really the big idea behind OpenSCAD. What does all of this actually empower you to do?
You know, after everything we've talked about, it really boils down to 3 key takeaways. 3 big reasons why this is such a powerful way to create.
So, why does any of this matter? Well, first, you get precision control. Total, absolute control. Every dimension is exactly what you tell it to be. No guesswork. Second, you get limitless iteration. You can easily create and test hundreds of variations of a design without breaking a sweat. And maybe most importantly, you get this incredible creative freedom. Basically, if you can describe it with logic, you can build it.
At the end of the day, it's about this. Your design, your rules. When you design with code, you're not just clicking buttons someone else designed. You are in complete control. You're the architect.
So now you've seen the power of designing with code, right? The combination of simple shapes, a few key operations, and that incredible parametric superpower. So the only question left is, what are you going to build first?